get mine. Get yours, nigga, cause I'ma get mine. Today gon' be a good day. Jack gon' keep it playing from the Genesis. As I'm blowing dope, being broke, my only nemesis. Remember when it wasn't all good, I used to reminisce. Felt like I was going through hell with no deliverance. Niggas throwing salt in the game, condoning ignorance. But when it's really in you, not on you, we know the difference. Nigga ain't no willing and dealing, we really killing shit. My brother passed a shooter like Luca, he gave me clinicis. Nigga, I was Dennis before you knew what a menace is. Now I just spread love to these bitches, ho, I'm a feminist. Way they running back to the dick, they think they Emmitt Smith. No real player gon' break it, that shit be imminent. Yeah. Nigga, we was trapping out the tenement. Niggas ain't hard, they just loud, them niggas impotent. Ain't in it for the glory, my life story is intricate. Don't crash out for the money and watch the niggas you get it with. I say it all, cause I'm past the point that I'ma play with y'all. And as the president, I'ma have to revoke your player call. Don't think the nigga ever was real, and he gon' stay a fraud. Don't think a nigga bluffing is not nothing to break them all. Saquon, ho, it's not nothing to shake them all. There no street clothes in my bed, ho, better take them all. Just get that cheese, breaking that bread, and I can stay involved. Wanna look sweet in my side seat, got to pay the cost.
I got dope and cheese, I'm smoking G's. While I was scaling dope and weed, y'all been yelling broken knees. You gon' do it, baby, do it, gotta hold and squeeze. For real, it's cold out here, one of you hoes gon' freeze. Rob the reverend, call the blessing, hold your nose, don't sneeze. Poop, nigga. Oops, nigga. Pull up in that big shit like I'm too big for that coupe, nigga. Too legit to quit, no, I'm just too legit for you, nigga. Twin Towers feel the power when we speaking, nigga. Coke like I was in the ghost with Tommy Egan, nigga. If your bitch looks suspicious, she probably creeping, nigga. If you heard the shit before, it's probably beating, nigga. Don't ask me about no money, I'ma tell you, let me hold something. 60K and debt be walking around like I don't owe nothing. So and so got shot up, I just act like I don't know nothing. I call love, cause we make a hit and miss a home run. Clean up in the kitchen, we can't have no dirty dishes, cause it's roaches outside and we cooking if they don't sniff it. Took a shot in the dark, I just went for this shit. Why aim for the stars, go forward and get nothing. Somewhere there's a young nigga on the same thing. Suggested advice, I tell him do better. Baby mom pregnant, I was turning 18. Ain't even focus my mind to getting cheddar. So I quit this rap shit, quit chasing my dreams. Fuck it, get money off of hoes and the fiends. Fuck it, get money, then turn around, blow it. If I was my plug, man, I wouldn't even throw it. Maybe I would get money, you know it. Really had the city for some summers with the lows, yeah. Going down the wrong way, niggas getting smoked, yeah. I ain't even tell you about the times I was broke, yeah.
Are you ready for this? I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all.
Delano, I want you to react to Anton's connecting all of this to feminism, and that that is what is leading black people, the black community, whatever that is, astray.
Well, I definitely would agree in terms of the role that feminism has played in leading to our community's sort of decline. Certainly, I mean, we talk about that all the time, but first and foremost with respect to the family, right? How it connects to immigration, you know, I'm not necessarily sure I follow all the threads that Anton was pulling on, but I respect his analysis. I think that
Hold
the
for 1
immigration.
second. Hold on. Put a pin there. 1 second. I'm sorry for cutting you off, but I think his argument is that this whole empathy and sympathy thing. Everybody, again, we just played a clip I think earlier today. Simone Biles saying something about empathy. Everything should start with empathy and blah. That's a feminine emotion. You can't do a society based on where the foundational principle is empathy. God, order, obedience to God. You know, it's not about empathy. And so I've seen it. I've seen it with women in my own life during Trump's first administration. Called me up, said, "You see what Trump's doing with the kids at the border? They're separate." And I'm like, hey, that's an edited clip. That's out of context.
God have mercy upon us.
Text and get out of your emotions. Them kids can go on back across the border just like they mom and daddy can or whatever. But I think that's what he said. We're over
But
flooded.
why shouldn't they
with
be separated
toxic
from their family?
empathy.
Is what I'm trying to understand. Why should if I
Respect to the family. Welcome back to Smitty's Corner. So yes, we are getting ready to go ahead and unpack this nice little debate. All right. This right here was very interesting to listen to. So as always, look, I ain't gonna hold us. We're gonna shoot. We're gonna straight shoot this, right? But I do have to do my disclaimer. Shout out to the homie Anton. All right, and shout out to everybody else on the panel. What's his name? Wits, something, whatever. Cuz up in the top corner. We all know him. Forgive me. All right. I know brother Anton. And I do believe I've seen the sister right here. I do believe I've seen her as well. Please forgive me if I'm not good with names right now. But I ain't going to talk too much because I'm actually here to learn. So just make sure y'all go ahead, put y'all comments in the chat or after the show and just tap in with your boy and let me know what you think about this. And let's go ahead and get on right to it. Disclaimer, if you would, please.
I get arrested for doing something that I'm not supposed to do as an American citizen, I get separated from my family, I got to go to jail. What I'm trying to understand is what is it that he doesn't understand, or what is it that he don't agree with?
I'm not saying that I didn't agree. Again, it was the connection between feminism and immigration. And again, if the point is about empathy, then I certainly see that, several books, including Jason, Ali Buff Stuckey wrote a book on toxic empathy. And I do think that that's a big part of what drives, some of these debates where you have even elected officials who have more empathy and sympathy for, the guy that they describe as the Maryland dad who got deported, I think, sent back to Venezuela, than they do the victims of crime who the Laken and Rileys, people who've been actually killed by people who are in this country illegally. So I think that's a big problem. I don't think it's just a feminism problem. I think largely in our country, many of these issues are politically coded. So people have empathy for the people that they agree with and people that they like.
There is some truth. I see where he is so far. There's some truth to that. We are definitely geared around who we like as opposed to who bears the most truth and facts. That is a concept I do see. Let's keep on listening. Let's see what we got.
We saw this in 2020. If you were pro BLM, you were fine with the protests. Then people started to switch things around. Obviously, the public health authorities were saying
Shoot, sorry. Is it just me or does the brother sound nervous? Say that shit with your chest, little nigga. Say it with your chest. You know what I'm saying? If you feel some kind of way, express yourself. Let's get it.
Protests are fine if you're protesting, systemic racism. But protests are not fine if you're protesting the lockdowns. So I think a lot of it is politically coded. But I'll say this, Jason, because you talked about you were pushing forward, the restaurant analogy. I don't think the discussion is as clear and precise as we are making it sound. Let me explain what I mean when I say that.
Okay, so before you do, I think you need to bring something with you, Big Bear. Remember, here on Smitty's Corner, always remember to bring this with you when you step in the door.
Black Air Force Energy.
Okay, now let's go ahead and kick it up. Let's do it.
There's a Supreme Court case right now. It's the Mahmoud case that has to deal with parental opt-outs in a school system in Montgomery County, Maryland, right? The school system wanted to push LGBT stuff on the parents, and the parents were saying, no, we want to be able to opt out of that. This went through district court, made its way to Supreme Court, because the school system said, you can't opt out of it. We don't want to allow you. The people who are pushing the opt-out, right, who want to be able to take their kids out, are largely immigrants, some of them from Ethiopia, from the Middle East. The people on the other side, and I remember this because I remember the protests a couple years back, who are pushing for the LGBT, indoctrination, were, at least from the protests, from what I saw, largely white liberals. And I bring that up because when people talk about assimilation in America today, I'm not talking about in 1940. I'm not talking about when the Irish and Italians came over and they took Anglicanized names and they went to public schools and everybody said the Pledge of Allegiance and the Star Spangled Banner. I'm talking about today. Almost all assimilation today moves first and second generation immigrants to the political left. That's the way that assimilation is working ideologically. So in some respects, the people who have been running the restaurant, right? Now, they will run a restaurant in the neighborhood that they don't live in. They'll drive to this restaurant. They'll run this restaurant. They'll hang all of the banners and the flags that'll tell you what their politics are. Then they'll go back and drive back to their safe neighborhood. But these are the people who are pushing many of the things that we fight against. And I think it's a sad commentary on the state of American culture, where when you see the second or even third generation Asian immigrant, Indian immigrant, when you hear their kids in high school and you see them with the septum ring and you see them doing the debates, at Ivy League colleges, they sound just like your standard issue progressive, whose great grandfather, is Boston Brahmin and been here since the 1600s. So it's to me, it's less about the demographic and more about the values, the principles. And I agree with you. Like I'm to the point now where it's like if I hear trap music playing in a particular venue, I'm turning around, especially if I'm with my wife and my kids. Like we've left restaurants where I walk in, I got reservations for brunch, and my wife was like, "Why did you pick this place? They got the little the fake grass on the thing with the neon lights and the DJ pumping." And I said, all right, let's go somewhere. Let's take the kids somewhere else.
Okay. So I believe that we got a nice, good feel of what the brother's talking about. Now let's go ahead and push it just a little bit forward and see what we got when it comes to this whole back and forth.
Are you tired of these signature vendors that are too expensive and don't provide the support you
No.
It's like you're walking away from the conversation because you're trying to appease women.
No,
and I don't know
Anton, you're new here.
I don't know if
you're new here. That's not how I
get.
get down. I'm sorry. I respect you. I respect your content.
I'm only going by what it is that I see you saying right now, and it's directly tied to feminism. Even an example that you used with regard to the Black Lives Matters movement, that was a group of Black women lesbians that then took advantage of a marketing opportunity in order to continue to push an agenda based off of what corporate America was trying to champion. And you can't tell me that these organizations aren't smart enough to be able to realize who's behind a certain movement and whether or not they want to support it. Directly tied to that, the civil rights movement itself was hijacked by feminism, which was then hijacked by the alphabet community movement, which they then tied everybody in. Why you're starting to see Black and brown. Birthright citizenship.
Wait, you think I didn't think of that? Of course I thought of that.
Itself was never meant for everybody. It was meant for American descendants or African descendants of slaves, but now we're using it and leveraging it, and the ones that's promoting it the most is women. If you want to see where a movement is going, all you have to see is women. Women, Black women in the community is largely the ones that are controlling where the vote happens in the urban community, and they are the ones that are the most vocal on social media. So if you're telling me that it's not directly tied to feminism, and that this whole empathy movement, the whole support of illegal migrants inside of the United States of America, that they didn't hijack it, even when they was trying to market why we should vote for Kamala Harris during the last election and celebrated and talked more about my body, my choice, more about the things that wasn't relevant to the Black community. And when they finally started to communicate with Black men and ask them what they wanted them to change family court laws, which is directly tied to how it is that we're being impacted in single motherhoods, is raising men that ultimately aren't really a fabric of what it is that we want or the model of what we want men to be inside of our communities. If that's not all directly tied, if you're telling me that the separation of families that they marketed certain people to be tied to the Democrat Party based off of the fact that they knew that separating families or removing fathers from the household, and that they didn't update family court laws, even though they were established at a time where women had less choice. If you're telling me that that's not directly tied to what it is that we're looking at politically or what it is that we see happening from an immigration perspective.
Man, shout out to the family in the building. All right, now, Anton is way off. Why is he way off? I mean, do we not see these things happening? Come on now, Dragon. Connecting everything to females, no accountability. Okay, all right. Now that part I can get with you on, but I can't say he's way off. But is his thoughts and his, let's say, narrative geared in a certain direction? I give you that. I'm gonna give you that, fam. I give you that.
Perspective and who we supporting, then I would tell you that you're running away from the real issue, because if you want to solve for an issue, you got to get to the foundation of why we're here in the first place. It is directly tied to feminism. Everything is interconnected. And so I can't ignore it, because when I see people say I want a partner, not a husband, and they're making decisions on behalf of their family, then I know that that is the foundation. That is the culture. The culture is the thing that we celebrate the most in the community. It's not what we think it is. It's not our history. History and culture, a lot of times we get that mixed up. It all is interconnected. And when I see them marketing an opportunity, they're not marketing it to you, they're marketing it to your wife.
No, I think you misunderstand what I'm saying, right? And this is, my comments have nothing to do with trying to appease anybody. What I'm saying is you reference a number of different political issues, and we could go through each one of them, and I'm not going to do that. And I could say, okay, if I want to give each one of them a score and to say, you know, which ones I think are most directly impacted by feminism, out of 100, I'd say, okay, the state of the black family, that's a 99. I may say a lower score for something else. If I really want to get at the root of the immigration problem, I think that this is largely a bipartisan issue. The left likes more illegal immigrants in the country because eventually they see that we're going to have more people to vote for us. The right is open to more illegal immigrants in the country because they think we're going to have a source of cheaper labor.
And with that being said, we have to make sure, just to keep it running smooth, I'm going to take a 14-second commercial break, and we're going to get smooth right back to it. I ain't going to hold us.
These messages, we'll be right back.
Which is why.
But when did that switch? When did it change?
I'm not sure when it changed, but it's been like that for decades now.
This wasn't an issue between Democrats and Republicans. If you go back and you look at footage from the mid to the early 90s, Democrats were saying the exact same thing as Trump. As a matter of fact, there's footage out there of Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi specifically saying, literally word for word, some of the same things that Trump is doing today.
Right. They were saying it. They were saying it, but they weren't legislating it. And we've
absolutely were legislating it.
We've
had advocates for closed borders.
We've had several presidents who have talked tough on immigration. But again, because one of the
let me see what we got. Y'all already know I got to pull fams count. DSS has always been for single women and children from its inception before Black people even qualified. Continuing to harp on an imaginary horse dulls the tolerance for the conversation. Okay, nah. I see you. Shout out to my man Big Dog Barking. Make sure you go over there, subscribe to my man Big Dog Barking. Real talk now. Go over there, subscribe. And also make sure you go over there and subscribe to the Love Experience. Subscribe to the Love Experience as well as the Game of Dragons. Let's get back to the video.
Policy things that any president could choose to do, and Congress can certainly pass, is to say, look, we're not just going to enforce this at the border, which we should, right? Because if you don't have a border, you don't have a country. Just like if you don't have a front door to your house, you don't have a home. But we're also going to enact enforcement on employers. So if you employ people who are here illegally, you're going to get arrested. Your company is going to get fined. I mean, these are things that, again,
goes around the corner. Walking on the fighting side of me.
That don't look like it. It goes down.
It don't go down.
Robert, it goes down.
No, it don't.
It do go down.
Oh!
But there's a reason that I think the problem has continued to metastasize over the years. And what I'm saying is this is largely a bipartisan problem. Now, if you want to make the argument.
Okay, hold on, y'all. I'm sorry. Metastasize. Look, I'm not the smartest man in the world. I know some stuff, but I don't know everything. I just got to write that down. Metastasize. Okay. All right. Just got to put that into the vocab once I learn it. Let's go.
That feminism encourages women to display empathy to people that they should not display empathy to. I would agree with you 100%. And that may speak to some of the people who take to the streets. What I'm saying is I don't necessarily see the thread or see that as the core of why over the course of the last couple of decades, you've had tens of millions of people enter the country illegally, and neither political party show a willingness to do anything about it. That's the point that I was making.
Please forgive me, y'all. Like, I don't keep up with politics that much. So like you all's comments and you all and what you have to say is a big help as well. So I appreciate the people that's here. Salute to the family. Real talk though. So I am real limited on this, but I will say this. There has been definitely a much more deeper push towards, there's been a much deeper push towards, a brainwashing. I'm gonna just say it like that. There's been a much, much bigger push towards a brainwashing, more so than a what is best for the country. I don't care which side it's on. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, once I realize how, like, it's not about the country, it's about like really, I really do see the red and blue in politics the same as Bloods and Crips. GDs and BDs. I see it the same way. It's gang. I don't know why. Look, because even if we do have the two sides, we got the Democratic side, we have the, I don't know, Republican, conservative. Everybody got their own new words now. I don't know who's who. I just know it's red and blue. And what I do know is that, man, it's so much that's just not like being taken care of because everybody is so asphyxiated on trying to make sure that they discredit the other side. And I thought we were all part of the 50 states that is called the United States. And the one thing that I see that does not unite us the most is politics. Like, politics is the number one thing that runs this country, but it's the number one thing that also, on the other hand, divides it. But we're called the United States. And that's always, for somebody who's more of an independent thinker, who just likes to kind of look from the bleachers, you know what I'm saying? And just who has really been like more of a spectator of this whole like political game. Like, that's just really how I've always seen it. But with that being said, I digress. My mic is muted. Let me go ahead and see what we got real quick now. Respect to the family. What? I need help on why you need help on the definition of feminism? The definition of feminism is, by definition, a movement made for white women that somehow or another the color community and black women was able to ride the backs on. I mean, really, like, what are we talking about? I don't know. Because I don't know what that is. Okay? Because I hear men say I'm a feminist. That's right. Or I agree with, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Everybody has their own everything. What's going on, Doc? You know, always, you know what I'm saying? Love to see you, beloved. What do MFs do when blacks are targeted for anything? You know what? Let's find out. I mean, you know, I'm just now coming across this, so we all gonna watch this together. So let's just see what we got right here. You swimming out? What you say? Oh yeah, made for white women and black women got, yeah, exactly. You see what I'm saying? What you say, Lolo? The way it's being used seems to change from, yeah, you know what? Yeah, it is. It's like when it appeases, when it feels good to whatever group, crowd, or whatever the new trend is, whatever's going on out in social media, which social media has turned into basically the real media. The real media comes to social media to put their stuff on there. Where here it is, we used to try to get over to the main screen TV. Ain't that something? Let's keep on rocking out. Tap in, third eye open, message.
My point about
But
BLM.
again, I think that you're off because, again, the reason why I asked you when it switched is because I believe that if you look at the Democrat Party today and you look at it of yesteryear, even from the boomer generation, again, it's a completely different party. The foundation, who it is that they market themselves to is the most important thing. They don't market themselves to men. They don't market themselves to people that ultimately make decisions that's in the best interest of the country. They market themselves to people that more or less align with a feminist or feminism and their ideologies, which is the LGBTQ community, which is women that largely is taking a larger role in what happened from a political perspective. They are marketing more women in order to become a part of all of our legislative branches. You do see the rise of a Kamala Harris, which is being pushed on us, not something that we absolutely voted for. You did see the rise of Bill Clinton's wife. I don't even want to say her name because I don't really care for her that much.
Oh, come on, bro. We all know Hillary. Stop it. I mean, it's not that it ain't that serious, Anton. It's not that. Everybody knows Hillary, bro. If you say Bill, what the hell?
You see feminism taking over the liberal party, which is largely playing a role in how it is that we're operating from a societal perspective. So if you're saying that,
Let me jump in here for a quick second. Let me jump in for a quick second. Keep me, Delano, and
there we go. Because I had my brain fart earlier. Jason Whitlock. Okay. All right. Yeah, there we go. All right. Let's keep going.
Anton on screen, if possible. But as Richard Steele, the referee, I just want to jump in and say that the reason why I lean to Anton's direction is I'm just stating a fundamental truth. Men settle differences, and it may be ugly, and someone may die in settling their differences. And it's unfortunate when it goes to that length. But when it's a group of men arguing, eventually it comes to a conclusion.
What if you can create your own?
And I don't give a fuck, and that's what it is. Everybody getting shot.
And people are less likely to be aggressive with women, kill women, settle something, because it's always a compromise. Because a lot of times men are sitting there thinking, my sex life is riding on reaching a compromise decision with this woman. When it's a group of men and there's no sexual ramifications to settling things tend to get settled. I think what Anton is arguing, and it's certainly something I believe, you inject women into all this leadership stuff and they have a say, the fights never end, nothing gets settled. There is no, hey, I'm the head of this family and I know that you don't like this, but this is what we're doing. It's just an endless thing. And so what I think Anton is somewhat arguing, I don't want to put words in his mouth, is like, hey, back when women weren't really into politics, Democrats and Republicans actually used to have fights and settle things when it was just a group of men. Because
why is it BS? Why? Like, I mean, you just tell me. I don't understand. See, I'm not hip to all of this, and y'all forgive me if you can hear it. That's the washing machine. Forgive me. It's going off in a minute. It's on spin cycle. Why is it BS, Lolo? Let me see. What? Okay, so let me see something. Oh, yeah. You said that before already. Okay. All right, but go ahead and break that down to us more if you don't mind. I appreciate you. Let's go ahead and get back to it. The time right now is 1:21 p.m. East Coast Standard Time, and I thank everybody so much for tuning in. Thank you all for watching. Let's get back to the video. Yeah, I need to know why it's BS.
Men sit there and just logically, and I look at, we are just overflowing with empathy to the point we can't, as Black people, it's very difficult for us to say, Hey man, George Floyd, he brought that on himself. If we dialed the clock back 50 years, everybody black would be. They had a saying back in Indianapolis when my mother and father were growing up about dogs and ninjas that chase cops end up.
What? Everything he's saying goes against conventional wisdom. Okay, all right. To say women get nothing done, then say they making so many moves is overwhelming. Why? I don't. All right. Is he not talking about what people are seeing and what is being displayed and what is said? How true it is, I believe that depends on the eyes that are looking, right? Now, how much is it seen? Let's go by that.
Dead. And that you go chase a cop car, you're gonna end up dead. And that's what I saw. When I look at George Floyd, I was like, man, this dude was chasing a cop car, and I'm not surprised he's dead, and I'm going to keep it moving. Instead, we all have all this empathy for George Floyd, and we all pretend like that could be us. That could happen to me. And there's not.
Nah, but real talk though, big dog, it really can though. I mean, how do you say that during right now we got a whole Puffy trial? Like, you know how many tycoons? Do you not know how many times Puffy probably has sat back and he got away with something and said that's not going to be him, probably in that same whiny little voice that you're saying it in? All right, so we need to pump our brakes on that one. No man is exempt to being reprimanded. So let's just keep on rocking out.
One thing that happened to George Floyd that I ever thought could happen to me. I'm not going to be passing fake $20 bills. I'm not going to be high on fentanyl somewhere.
So we're going to act like there aren't endless cases of actual completely innocent people, black or whatever. So there ain't no innocent people who went as far as to get the chair. I'm just trying to figure out, is that what you telling me right now? That's all I want to know. So yeah, y'all tripping. Anyway, let's go ahead and bring one up. I knew it was going to call you out. I knew it was going to get you out them damn bushes. I knew it would. I knew it would.
I guess so. I guess so.
Yeah.
Just to be clear about what I'm saying is, and I can't stay too long, as you know, but
You good.
what I'm saying is this: if he wants to talk about the ills of feminism, right? Feminism is not really about women. You see what I'm saying? It's about a specific ethnic group of women. It's specifically about historical, political context that has nothing to do with everybody. You know, it's about a whole lot of things. But to say, well, it's about women and what they want, it's like that's a fallacy. It really is. So my thing is, that's why I said I need context for what is the definition, because I get agitated listening to anyone argue, well, the problem is feminism, and then it's in the context of how women act, and then the next thing is in the form of policy, and then the next thing is in the form of ideology, and then the next form is just a concept. It's like I can't really put my mind around what we're talking about, because you're undercutting the truth of the matter with all of the, in my opinion, the hypocrisy. Because I don't want to call someone a liar. They may not be aware, but the hypocrisy.
Right.
But to my last point about the whole, if things were up to women, nothing gets done. Well, you leave motherhood up to women, things get done. You leave a lot up to women, things get done. So in context, he's speaking out of context. You understand? Like if I left certain things that's outside your purview up to you, right? It might not get done because it's outside your purview. But if he's arguing, well, women in any form of leadership, nothing gets done based on what evidence? Because you're making an overarching sweep that
Because
women can't do anything.
they're making the point, Lolo, that women wouldn't make good leaders and stuff
But
like that.
leadership is based on what?
I guess running whatever mission, campaign, household, whatever organized something is going on. That is what leadership consists of. The one who was basically the shepherd. Let's put it like that.
Give me an example.
Literally a shepherd, like literally, like
No, don't give me an ideological like
okay,
thing.
all right,
Give
all
me
right.
an actual example of something that you're saying that if a woman is in charge of organizing, right? Because all I know is women
yeah.
organizing. That's where we do the best at. But
Nah,
it's like,
nah,
and I hold on, wait a minute, stop. Organizations specifically target women for what you just said. So I need you to give me an example of how women in general, just give me an example of how when women were put in charge of something, it just went to trash. And don't use women that are male centered like lesbians. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I really honestly, I don't have one. When you put it in that context, no, I don't have one. As far as that goes, now the only thing I can think of is maybe something that deals with a lot of pressure over time. Women can break down sometimes.
That's unfair to even say that because I know the context that Anton is trying to speak of that in, along with this gentleman.
Okay.
What you're doing is you're saying I'm gonna leave. It's just like this: leaving your dog in charge of babysitting your badass kids.
Right.
Now, the dog can protect the door. The dog can do that. But the dog in and of itself isn't meant to babysit your kids. That's not what it can do, let alone strongly by itself. It needs you there so that it can do its job. For you to not be in your place and then say, this dog can't run things, one has to question, are you even able to be a leader for even saying some ridiculousness about like that? Human beings require two sides of their brain. They require all sorts of mechanisms to be balanced. For you to purposely take one away and then blame that thing for not having the other thing, it's like, this is madness. This is literally the devil at work. Like, and I'm gonna call it what I see. It's the devil at work. You do not, I don't know how else to express that. I really don't. It's like when I heard him just say, when you leave women in charge, nothing gets done. Truth be told, women are not supposed to be in charge of a family. Women are supposed to be a part of a family. When a woman has to be in charge, it's because there's a man that ain't doing his fucking job. Period. And she's the only one that default has to do it. Just like if you leave your kids alone and the dog is there, the dog naturally is going to want to defend the house, even though it has to watch your kids and defend the house from the kids. The dog is going to naturally step into a position of being in charge, but the dog isn't meant to do that. So it's nothing wrong with the dog. It's something wrong with you. Now, I will say this, in the context of war, let me ask you something. Would you rather have 6 to 12 months worth of negotiations, or would you rather have 12 hours of nothing but devastation and half your family dead? Which one would you rather have?
I don't care how long the negotiation takes. I'm going with the latter.
Right. Now, in a male-driven society, the former is what he was just saying. We have a way of how we deal with one another, and it gets violent. No human society, no civilized society seeks to be led with that mentality. Every civilized society seeks to be led with what? Diplomacy. Diplomacy is a feminine characteristic. All of the major players have got there because, one, they strong-armed it and then decided once they strong-armed it, it was better to be in a position of diplomacy if they wanted to keep their position of power. So let's be clear about the feminism, the feminine, and women. Okay, let's be clear. Not all women are equal. Not all feminism is equal, because clearly we don't even have a definition. And to sit and put women in a position of men and then say we can't be as good as men, that is asinine. At the end of the day, leadership, there's no such thing as just one type of leadership. There is not. I have seen women do extraordinary things under the guise of leadership, and the same goes for men. But when you want to talk about foreign policy, there is nothing saying that what women's involvement in foreign policy has led to what we have right now. If you look at Congress, it is made up of what? Mostly men. If you look at most of the people being killed in the last 5 days, it is mostly women and children. So I rebuke any man that will sit here listening to you or my voice right now, that will sit here and agree to that bull crap that Anton and this other clown is talking about when it comes to women. Keep women out your mouth. Talk about your wife. Talk about what you do with women. Talk about how women impact you, because clearly you're out of touch, and nobody cares about doing or saying anything to you that could result in an answer, because there's no point. There really is no point. I would never have a conversation with Anton about anything involving his opinions around feminism and what he thinks women need to do, because he is so far out of touch, it would be a waste of my time. And I do believe and live by the phrase, I don't cast my pearls before pigs, whether they look like pigs or not. I don't cast my pearls that way. Trust me, there's a lot of places to cast your pearls. There is not one. Not for me. I don't just talk that. You understand? So I would urge people to pull back from these sweeping arches of conversations centered around females. If you want more power, go get more power. When I wanted more money, I didn't go find a nigga. I just went and got more money. I didn't use somebody to propel myself forward. I didn't step on nobody so that I could go up in the world. I just went up. It's just that simple. You don't have to put people down to make your point. You don't have to say lies to get people to be on your side. People naturally have a way of saying, well, you know what, this might work for me better and that might work for you better. But it's like we got too many problems going on in the world right now for people to be talking about feminism and women think that they don't need men. It don't matter if women think they need men. It really don't. And I'm sorry to tell you that. Feminism doesn't matter. You don't have to pair yourself with a woman that's a feminist. So in reality, your problems is not feminism. Now, if you mad because most of the hoes is feminists, that's your problem. Okay, that is your problem. But guess what? I don't care. I don't care. Let me land on that.
Okay, Lolo. So, question before you go or whatever. I don't know how much time you got. I got you. So, if the question was posed to you, if you were here, and one of them asked you, okay, so Miss Oshun, well, do you believe that feminism has caused any problems at all in the Black community? And if so, what at all? What would you say?
Let me tell you something. I don't care about feminism. Everything that white people had that they forced onto us, and or that we kind of rubbed onto ourselves because we're so close to them. Everything has been to a detriment of us. Everything. Right. From their politics to their religion to their sexual preferences, the way they set things up, like in their little markets or whatever. Like everything has been to the detriment of the people that have never sought to overthrow them, to be allied with them. None of that. You can't just isolate it to one particular mainframe and say, oh, well, if we just didn't operate from that standpoint, then everything would be fine. No, that's not the truth. That is not the truth. Their sexuality poured into our community. And you see, I need not even talk about that right now. Their diseases poured into our community. Their ideologies poured into our community. Their religion poured into our community. Their politics has poured into our community. And we are we're not only divided by the racism that they internally instilled in us, but by their own politics that have divided them. So no, I don't care about feminism. I don't. We got too many other problems that we gotta fix. Feminism is a proxy of the patriarchy. Feminism pays men. Men get paid more money through feminism than they ever got paid through patriotism. Now, I'm not patriotism, patriarchy. Period. The marketing that comes out of that, let me tell you something. It's more money out here in feminist marketing than you understand. And it's covert, most of it. But you just don't know. Most of it's covert.
Yeah. Okay. Now, what I believe that I'm hearing primarily, Lolo, is that a lot of these guys are saying that it was better when it was more of a patriarchal society.
When was that? When was
and now,
when was that? Give me a year. Give me a year.
I don't look. I'm regurgitating.
No. I understand. I understand. But see, this is how tired everyone is from hearing the same dead horse. Give me any year, and I'm telling you right now, any year you go and name, I'm going to show you what was actually happening that year to our people, and I'm going to tie it back to patriarchy, and that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. Every year you say.
1950. People say it was better because we had more black families. And it was more husbands in the house, like the 1950s and stuff, the 40s and the 50s. Boom, there you go.
1950s, more women, more husbands was in the house, right? That's what you said. More husbands was in the house.
That is what's said. Yes, I've heard that a million times over. Yes, we had it better back then, and because of different reasons and everything else. Yes, that's what's said.
That's the 1950s.
Yeah, around the 80th percentile of married households, and we had 80%. Better around there. Yes, that is what. Yeah.
Okay. How many women were voting in 1950?
I don't know.
Okay. The answer is none.
Oh, I was going to
ask. The answer is none. The answer is none. How many jobs were? How many different sectors of jobs were even open for women to try to be in? How many?
All I know is that my mom was born in 1954, but she didn't start working till like the 60s, 70s, of course, as like, she's older, but I don't know. Okay. I mean, my grandmother worked for the Pentagon. That's all I got.
Let me finish. When you talk about the 1950s, this was a time when black men was being hanged like there was no tomorrow. So when you say there were more black men in the house, there was also more black men hanging from trees. Now, let me ask you something. Where you don't have no rights and there's no jobs, the only thing you got going for you is if you can find somebody to come and take care of you without no question. We were literally being held hostage in this country during that time. The only thing we had was us. We didn't have jobs. We didn't have land. We didn't have we didn't have political power. We didn't have nothing. All we had was what we could provide for ourselves. There were no rich people within our community. There wasn't. There was a couple puppets here and there through the CIA, of course.
Right.
But we had nothing but each other. Now, inside our communities in the 1950s, we had a higher level of incest than we do today. And you know how high today is. It was higher in the 50s, by the way. Domestic violence was higher in the 50s than it is today. Rape was higher in the 50s than it is today. Now, I want to zone in on the type of assault that was higher, sexual assault that was higher in the 50s, specifically black girls between the ages of 9 and 14. There was more sexual assault that you can find on file at the court, in the court system, that were tried, the ones that were tried, that is, okay? And they had a 90% failure rate, meaning that the aggressor went free, unless the aggressor was a black man.
Can I ask this question?
Hold on. Unless the aggressor was a black man. Now, if the aggressor was a black man, they would literally sentence him to death, or there would be a low rate for him to be imprisoned. But when it comes to white men, they were in our community raping all over the place. So when you talk about the 50s was a scary time. Don't let television convince you that everybody had a pie in their hand and wore skirts down to their knees and they was yes ma'am, yes sir. That was not the 50s. The 50s was a time where you don't want your children walking by themselves outside because they could be taken and you can find them in a river somewhere just because they exist. That was the level of fear we had to live in during the 50s, which is what sparked the 60s. It was so bad in the 50s. Why do you think the civil rights movement kicked off so strong? Because people were tired of living in fear and squalor. So I don't give a damn about people saying, well, we had more marriages. Of course we had more marriages. What else did we have? How many years did they allow us to even be married, by the way? But what else did we have outside of marriage in 1950? Did we have, what did we have? Because last I checked, all we had was the ability to get married and be poor. That's what you had the ability to do in the 1950s. You didn't have the ability to advocate for yourself. You didn't have the ability to go to the hospital when you needed to. You didn't have the ability to do a lot of things. So this is what I mean by the more men keep talking about the 50s, a time that produced women like my mother and my grandmother who hated men, okay? Like, I don't want to hear about the 1950s. 2025 has enough problems in it to solve a lot of things going on into the next 200 years.
So when you was talking about that abuse, was it primarily, or is it like, you know, it's just period? Was it primarily in-house or just in the community outhouse and it wasn't protection outside of the home? Or was a lot of this happening in the home? That makes a big difference.
You've heard it was happening in both places. You've heard many families say that there was a I want to say a culture even. Yeah, I'll put it not a habit, but I'll say it's a culture around women who were so, for all intents and purposes, were so overprotective of, I guess, the men in their family or the young men or even the old men in the family, that they would openly see them committing sexual assault on family members and would take the side of the one who's doing the sexual assault.
Yes, I have. Right? Yeah, that is very true.
Let me, like, we know that didn't start in the 1980s. That's been something that's been going on since the 1950s and before. Like, seriously, but keep in mind, you don't get no time for sexually assaulting a woman, especially if it's a black woman in the 1950s. Go back and check your records. How many people were being prosecuted for, sexually assaulting a black woman versus how many white women that were being sexually assaulted and people were being prosecuted for? Like, what are we talking about? We had more marriages. So fucking what? We had more incest too. I can tell you from my own family circumstance that the 50s was horrible, yo, without putting my family out there. Horrible. I had to forgive my grandmother for some of the things I found out that happened from the 1950s. And I said, like, if it wasn't for you doing that, maybe the rest of the family would be okay. Maybe we wouldn't have 5 girls walking around in mental hospitals behind the stuff that you seen, but you said, nope, I need a husband and I don't care. That part. Yeah, I have a whole lot of disdain for people who sit and talk about, well, we had more marriages. Shut the fuck up. Talk about being better people now. That's why we don't have marriages now, because people are not good people. People don't have no respect for each other. People literally don't care about nothing else but a bag. Of course we don't have marriages today because we don't need money anymore. Everybody can get their own money. Talk about how marriages are supposed to work now. Stop reverting back to the 50s. We ain't in the 50s. We don't have the same issues as with the 50s. Period. If I was a woman and I couldn't even have my own bank account, which is what the law was in the 1950s, you damn right I'm about to sit and get money by the use of a man. You right, I'm going to do that. I'm going to use every man I can for money. And if marriage is what it takes, that's what it's going to be. That's you damn skippy, I'm going to do that. But guess what? Men consider that part of feminism. That men's only purpose is to give you money and satiate you, right? That was the 50s for you. That was the 40s. That was the roaring 20s. During the Depression, So what are we talking about? No, I don't want to hear about marriage. I don't want to hear about marriage in the 50s. We got a different problem going on right now. Almost 40% of our young people feel like they don't know what they is, male, female, sexual orientation, all over the place. 40%. We have bigger problems than what happened in the 1950s. And people saying, well, we just need marriage. We don't just need marriage. We don't want to just be married. We want happy marriages. We want actual investments. We want generational wealth, which is the purpose of marriage. We don't have that. Most people today cannot say that any marriage in their family resulted in generational wealth for their family. We dropped the ball in the 1950s. We dropped the ball in the 1860s. We dropping the ball today. I don't want to hear about it. This is how frustrated everyone is. Nothing anybody is talking about, especially these two clowns on this page that you're showing, is saying anything that I can remotely use right now. Nothing. He talking about some women think they don't need a man. Need a man for what?
Lola, if it's okay, because I know, can I just get like 60 seconds of the video in and let you rock out before you gotta go?
Go ahead.
Thank you. I appreciate you, beloved. All right, so let's figure out why, Lolo. Let's figure out why. All right, because you definitely brought the steam with you today. Let's rock out.
Police tell me to get in the back of the car. I'm gonna get in the back of the car and I'm gonna drive. None
And you already know. I can hear you. Just let me know. I'm gonna push pause.
of it could I relate to. But we all went around with this empathy, and some woman shot it on her cell phone, and everybody feels sorry for George. I don't feel sorry for Jacob Blake. I don't feel.
You're not going to believe this.
Don't worry, my bad, y'all. I apologize. No, we're going right back to it. Here we are. All right, we back.
Because she had a simp for a boyfriend to let her get out of bed and go chase a cop car, and she went dead like a dog and some of these dumb ninjas that love to chase cop cars. Anyway, I'm gonna let y'all go. Anton, if you can briefly.
Because I hate you coward ass niggas. You a punk ass nigga.
Like, you know, the way you describe, like, listen, whether you agree with or not how all of that took place, you know what I'm saying? Whether you agree or not, look, you know, to be speak like a dog and like, come on, bro. Like, you know, it's like it's when oh, man, that's where I be having my issues. You can have your opinions about whatever you want, but that's when I have my issues with that. Riaz, respectfully, I see you in the back, but I did say earlier this link is for Miss Oshun only. Okay, all right, because I want to make sure that I keep this really steered and directed real quick. I'm gonna let you come up when she goes finish doing what she got to do. Then I'll go ahead and open up the panel for the rest. Okay, all right. So you can hang out or you can come back in a little bit. But I got you, buddy. Just give it a moment. But yeah, like I don't know. I can't get with that. Let's keep going.
What you said, do it briefly and throw the microphone back to Delano so he can respond.
I don't think you're misrepresenting what I'm saying. I'm just saying that at the foundation, if you want to solve for a problem, I just think that you got to get to the root cause of the issue. I think that we putting lipstick on a pig a lot of times, just only looking at it on the surface. And I think that the foundation of what's wrong with this country and the foundation of what's wrong with both parties a lot of times is that we pander to, we acquiesce to, and we do not truly get to the root cause of the issue, which I think that a lot of it is rooted in feminism and the fact that women now have the ability to choose for themselves. And the more freedom that they've had, the more often they've chosen wrong. And we decided to follow them as a country and as a nation.
Go ahead, Lolo. I know.
75% of African American children are born to single mothers. What that means is 75% of the children that exist today who are African American in America, their father was not in the house. Therefore, no matter if the woman is working or receiving public assistance, the man was never in the house. Okay? We are not talking about 75% of marriages that dissolved and the man was put out for whatever reason and then chick went and got social services claiming she lived by herself. That's not what happened. Okay? Now, mind you, if a woman did claim social services, right? If she was living with her husband, that means his name is on the lease. You can't put nobody out of their house just because you went and got social services. You're not eligible for social services if you married with a husband and you don't want to report that he's in your house. That's not how this works. Like, I don't know how many of y'all have ever worked for the DSS. Please tell these people. Like, this is weird. But at the end of the day, women choosing for themselves, choosing what for themselves, choosing how they dress. You think that doesn't mostly benefit men? That women can choose how they dress? You think the money doesn't?
I see what you're saying.
The money don't flow through men's hands first before it ever gets to women when it comes to this freedom of choice? You think women choosing how they dress is affecting men? Really? Tell that to Putin right now. He should be more concerned with the way women are dressing than the business that they have going on right now. Tell that to China. Like, tell that to any company. Tell that to never mind, let me not do that. But like he said, women's choices for themselves is the problem. Now, hold on. Let me say this. Women being able to choose for themselves is the only reason why the Electoral College actually works for men.
Okay.
Men are at the top of the Democratic Party. Men are at the top of the Independent Party. Men are at the top of the Republican Party and the Green Party. And women being able to vote for themselves is the only reason why they are in play right now. Because if women couldn't vote, as they couldn't back in the 1950s, guess who would only have sole power? Which is something most men don't agree with, right? So again, women choosing for themselves always come back to how men benefit the most off that shit, no matter what you say. Another reasoning thing that doesn't make sense to what he just said.
Mm-hmm.
While women have the freedom, and they've always had the freedom to have sex with who they want to have sex with. Let's not like lie like that. Anton is very much a liar and a grifter. Women have always been able to have sex with whoever they want. We have never been a country where you will get legally prosecuted if you're not a virgin on your wedding night. That is not how we've ever operated here in America. So let's stop with the bullshit. Let's stop. Now, women being able to have babies.
Lola, real quick. The thoughts and feelings of Miss Oshun are not a reflection of Smitty. Keep going, Lola.
Now, women being able to have babies on their own and actually get jobs and actually be able to support themselves by themselves with a baby, that just comes through the fact that women can go to school now and get jobs that are more intellectual than manual. Like, that's what that is. That's not a matter of, women being able to choose for themselves. No, some companies need people to do things that aren't manually intensive. And they would rather hire women to do that. Like my job. I get paid $100,000 a year to be on a computer. I just do. I don't have to do anything. I spend most of my time in meetings and, sending emails.
Yeah.
That's just what it is nowadays. That is not because I just don't like men and I have an agenda and life has just been, about warring with men. That's not what it is. Society is changing. And if you don't want to change with it, it just means you're stubborn. It has nothing to do with anyone else. Now, I'll say this and I'll land it.
Okay.
Men for the longest time have always held a culture of hoardism, meaning they want access to virgins when they want to invest, but they always want to have access to women, period, sexually, outside of that, when they're not ready to invest, right? You cannot have a culture that promotes that sort of backwards and forward type of ideology and think that it's not going to backfire on you. This is the definition of white supremacy. It will implode on itself when it has eaten everything around it. This has been European society since we can recall in human history. And now that that same mentality is being exercised in America, it was only a matter of time before that horror of a culture became just the culture. Like, it's not even part of the culture, right? It's just the culture. At the end of the day, men being able to have sex indiscriminately and make children and not be held accountable for them, meaning marry the woman. I don't mean pay child support. That is not being accountable for a child. Okay, that's not what that is. If you are not legally liable for marrying the woman you got pregnant, you are the greatest beneficiary of women having the right to choose for themselves. Because as a man, nature says you should not be even mating with a woman unless you have invested in that way. Period. So I don't want to hear no crap about women can choose for themselves. If it wasn't for women being able to choose for themselves, more than 50% of men wouldn't even get asked once every 5 years. Okay? Like, let's stop it. Okay? Most men are not able to get married. The best they're going to do is a little bit of trim on the side every couple months, every couple years. Be glad women are able to choose for themselves. All you worried about is when you're ready to get married, you want a nice girl. Well, sorry. It doesn't work that way. The numbers ain't on your side, buddy. But I'll end doing that.
All right, let's see what we got on this. Yeah, I'm just gonna play like a minute or two of it and stuff. We can talk about it for a bit, because I only wanted to be up here for about an hour and 30 anyway. So let's go ahead and see what we got. Let's rock on.
Delano.
No, I mean, again, the general analysis, I don't disagree with. What I'm hesitant to do, Jason, is to fall into one of the left's traps, right? So if we were watching a panel of black progressives, whatever issues you could find in the black community, they're going to say, well, this is caused by racism. And they will give you sort of a long analysis, a historical analysis, and say, look, all these things was caused by racism. And the thing that we see today, so whether that's the breakdown in our families, or poor school outcomes, or poor health outcomes, or gentrification, or any other issue that they come up with, they're going to say this is caused by racism and white supremacy. And what I'm saying is, like, I'm hesitant to do that with any issue, and to say this one thing is the cause of all these other things. Now, again, I can analyze it and say in certain instances, absolutely. In other instances, it's a little bit more of a stretch. So that's the only point that I was making on
like
this.
Like what? Give me an example.
An example of what specifically?
An example of why it would be a little bit more of a stretch, or why it only slightly contributes to the issue.
As I said, like if we're talking about the state of the black family and the issue is feminism, I say absolutely. I say feminism deceive women into thinking that they don't need a husband, to thinking that the home is a prison.
Can you get with what this guy is saying, Lolo, in any way?
No, because white women knew they needed husbands. They just felt like they would forego it because it was better to be alone and childless than to be being beat up every day and assaulted by their men. You ever been in a relationship where you was there and it was like you can stay and have these physical things, or you can go and have peace? Which one are you willing to go with? You're gonna leave. At some point you're gonna leave.
You know what I'm choosing.
That's what I'm saying. So to sit here and say feminism convinced them, no, the Salem witch trials convinced them they didn't need men. You understand?
Yeah.
You feel me? Like slavery convinced them they didn't need men. Do you know how many white women was hung from their necks because they remotely showed kindness to black people, specifically black men? You know how many white women were persecuted behind like helping people, non-white people get loans? You see what I'm saying? You know how many white women specifically that had patents on engineering projects that white men stole from them? It wasn't feminism that convinced them that white men was a piece of shit. It was white men that convinced them that white men were a piece of shit. And they felt like maybe we can do some shit on our own without them. And sure as you're born, they can, as we see right now. White women do not need white men to gain power. They don't need white men at this point. Nobody needs nobody to have a baby. They don't need white men to just go and have a job. They can give people jobs if they want to nowadays. They can have their own money nowadays. They can. That is a real thing. They can have their own money now. Period. Like, you remember the World War I and World War II, where they put women to work because the men wasn't available? Women can actually work. Women got the brain capacity to work. That's what white women realized, that they don't need those strange men. I'm not even going to keep calling them certain names. They don't need them to do basic things, okay? Now, guess what? White people are the majority here in America. Is that not true, Smitty?
Yes, you on point. Keep going.
It is kind of hard to maintain a culture different from the one you in when you're the minority. Is it not true that foreigners have a hard time ensuring that their children do not become, quote, Americanized, end quote, in America?
Ah, boy, keep on flaming, Dragon. Keep on flaming.
So for someone to say feminism is the reason why women want to have their own money, feminism is the reason why women don't want to be beat in the face every day, and feminism is no, fucked up men is the reason why. And now, let me tell you something. If you look at women being the first slaves in human history, right, and all that has happened to women throughout history, like that went unchecked. If you believe in God, if you believe in karma, what you should do is realize this is the time of the karma. Now, I don't know where the pendulum is at, but I definitely know it's not all the way to the end yet. It's still swinging backwards. Like, it's swinging backwards. I know in the last 6,000 years, women were slaves. Women were treated abhorrently. And it wasn't until 1965 or so when black people, specifically black men, stood up with the support of black women and said no more, that the world changed. It wasn't until then. Just a couple years ago, black people stood up to the imperialists that white women have been fighting since before we even knew white people. No, it was not feminism that did anything to these people. They did what they did to each other. And the hatred between white men and white women is glaring. It's glaring. White women are not allied with white men. They're just allied against others. That's all. They don't like each other. I don't know if you've been around many white people, but they really don't like each other.
Yes, no. I in Beltsville, like in the 90s, it was primarily white, but you had a nice amount of us and other cultures around there. But no, definitely. I grew up with some white homeboys out in the woods, mud and dirt biking. I'm talking about white boys, like Budweiser campfires, all of that shit. I don't hung with them a couple times, so I know what it hit for. I know what you're saying.
They are extreme. So I do feel sorry for some of the atrocities that white men have caused on white women before slavery. I do feel sorry for all of the atrocities white men have caused on the whole world, like the torture that they instill all over the world on people. Like, people forget that what happened in Germany didn't affect only the small hats. There was black women and black men out there being tortured, but we don't talk about them.
Good job, Lolo. Good job on your verbiage, girl. I see you working.
Ain't that so?
Hey, look at you. Hey, look at you getting better. Okay, now she quoted.
Getting better.
Wait, keep on.
But I do. It is a sad day that we had to make a law that says you cannot, under no circumstances, sexually assault any woman. And that just happened just a couple decades ago. Here in America, that is. It was still going on in the world, though. But we're going to sit here and act like, oh, feminism convinced you that you didn't need men. No, men did. I've seen more honor killings than enough. Okay? I've seen more women that have been disfigured behind just not wanting to be hit and beat on by their spouses, and went to their in-laws and then were told that if you remotely act like you don't like what's happening, we will delete you. I've seen too much of that. It's
Do
not
you believe
feminism
that's
convincing
happened?
nobody of anything.
Has that happened in families that's like even like I mean, I don't know, man. Nah, I ain't even
Hmm.
gonna know. Nah, nah,
Yeah,
nah.
that
I'm gonna
happened. That happened. That happened with me on the reverse, on the male side, because it doesn't just happen on the women's side. People forget that it happens on the men's side, but we don't hear about it as much as we do with the women's side. That happened reverse with me. I was
that's
dealing with somebody, and they were from over there, and their family told them like, we don't care, and if you try it, what's gonna happen? You understand? And that's with the men. So imagine what happens to women that don't have rights. Imagine what happens. They get deleted. They disappear, and that's at worst. You see what I'm saying?
I heard
So
that stonings are still real, like
it
today.
is.
Actual
It
like
is.
bare face out the ground. I don't know if you
Hmm.
ever I seen that one stoning of Soraya or something like that. I remember that back in the day. I heard
Yeah.
that was
The whole mutilation of women.
yeah.
Without saying the word, this, you know what I mean? Okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
still
yeah.
a thing. That is still a thing in a lot of different parts of the country. So not the country, the world. So
The world.
again, when we talk about feminism, what would make you feel you don't need a man? A man cutting off a piece of your body that you don't want cut off, or I don't know, a movie about how geopolitics. Like, well, which one do you think would make you feel like you don't like men or don't
I
need men? Which one?
I see you. I can I let me just get some air on this one. Hold on. So let me just see what Doctor talking about. She said network marketing also has a hand in the change in mental conditioning. Okay, give me some more now, Doc. I really want you to answer this one. Women be trying to be the men they learn from. What you mean by that?
That's
Like, what
well,
you what you
without
think she
saying,
mean? Yeah,
without speaking for her, I'll say what I get from what she just said is this: when women develop but so much of a hatred for men, they tend to turn around and do the same mistake that men have done to them, and it's a natural cause and effect. It's like just like with your parents, you claim you're never gonna be like your parents, and then you look up and you just like your parents. That's the
mhm,
same thing. Like you trying to respond to what's been done to you so hard that you essentially turn around and do the same thing that was done to you back to someone else. And that's what I mean by being male identified. You want to sit and claim that you're on the female side, but you're on the female side so hard that you're doing the same mistakes that men did to us, and that's not what it is. It's not. That's not what it is. Being balanced doesn't mean hating men. It just means putting a boundary up to say, hey, we want peace, and we want peace through this means. And if you don't want peace through this means, you go make your own village over there and have the peace that you want. But what you don't do is get to ravish through my village. You can go make your own village and be happy over there. That's why no matter how much people talk about, for instance, Iran right now, and their internal policies. I don't care what they do inside their country. They got a right to make as many laws as they want to over
right,
there. They
right.
don't got a right to sit and impose anything. And I feel the same way for the Americans. You can do whatever you want to do here in America. But what you don't got a right to do is impose American like thought on everybody in the world. It's not what you
No,
got a right to do.
yeah, because even down if look now, mind you, you know what I always said. I'm like everybody loves to travel, right? Oh, I want to go here, go there. If we did turn the whole world America, what would be the point of traveling?
It wouldn't be.
There's nothing different. Everything
Nothing.
is you see what I'm saying? So even
Nothing.
down to the stuff that y'all say y'all love to do, catching flights, not feelings, all of this other stuff. Everybody loves to take their pictures somewhere else and try different things. If we strip all these other cultures of their culture and ideology of thinking and how they process and have their rules, like, you know, you can't go to Dubai. As much as I love to smoke me some good old weed, I know I need to not have me not a single fragment going onto that plane. Period.
Hmm.
I'm not stupid. I'm not about to go over there talk about some, well, you know, I got a card from America, nigga. I'm going to jail.
No.
My
Right.
card.
Right.
Like it is what it is.
Right.
You know.
I
So
mean, that what you're saying is if what you're saying wouldn't be understood by people who have never traveled.
Right, right.
And most people have never traveled. So they're speaking out the side of their neck when they start talking about how great their ideology is. It's like, not really. It's great when it's your ideology. It's oppressive when you want to put it and force it into somebody else's head. That's where we draw the line. And this is where I draw the line with Anton and this gentleman that you were playing. You're trying to force an ideology that even I know you don't believe in. Like, you don't believe in women having their own choices, but for by the same metric that women shouldn't have their own choices, a lot of people feel that black men shouldn't have their own choices too. And the argument is going to be the same. If somebody's going to say, well, based on, the statistics, this group over here, it doesn't do well when it comes to credit. They whatever. And they're going to make the same argument, right? That they're making about women on men. So that's why I said, if we go back to the 50s, right, black men were being persecuted, which is why the 60s came to be the civil rights movement, because of how bad it was. Most of us are not in the crates. So let's not be stupid. Now, I do know that Anton is a grifter, so he's going to say things that's just going to get people looking at him. I do know that. And this other guy over here, the gluttonous one with the stomach big as his whole body, he's just supposed to be there as what's called a whitewash version of what's supposed to have access to the black community. He does not speak for black people or to black people, but he is being used as a puppet. You understand? And our community have been dealing with puppets quite a long time now. So we are pretty adept at recognizing them. And Anton, while not a puppet because he's just a grifter, and grifters aren't good as puppets because they're not controllable enough. Yeah, it's both of them are dangerous to our community. And what I'm saying is that, yeah, we have a lot of work to do as a community, but so does everybody. But let's not lie. Let's not try to fix our community through lying to each other about what's wrong. Let's not sit and act like we have, a deficit of just women doing well. Like, every man ain't in jail because over a female. Every man ain't got no crap under his, in his closet because of a female. Okay? Like, if you catch my drift, like, that's not it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, some of these women, 1 out of every 5 women in my community has been molested by the age of 12. That ain't because, we ain't shit. So let's be clear about something. We have some habits that we need to correct. For instance, as a single mother, you have to be more stringent on who you allow around your children. You do, because of the inherent issue that's sitting there waiting to happen. As a woman who don't have any children, you have to be clear on the fact that why you're not having children. Because if you have children indiscriminately with people without any investment, it will lead to your life being harder, and most likely you will slip into poverty as a result. Like, most females go into poverty through having children with the wrong person, period. Like, it don't have nothing to do with marriage. That's just the wrong person. So let's be clear about where we're dropping the ball at, and let's take it step for step, bite for bite. Let's not try to fix everything in one sweep. That's not how anything gets done. And I'm saying that as a woman, nothing gets done that way. You start and take baby steps and fix what you can fix, and then you move where you can move when you can walk, and then you run, and then you sprint.
Lola, my bad. I got off the. I'm trying to. All right. So, from what you're saying, there is an actual reason why, if a woman does say that she does hate men, it could be for an actual good reason, as opposed to maybe a improper upbringing, thought process reason. That's what you're saying, right?
Hate can come through any means. Hate doesn't prefer any particular means over another. Like it could come through the fact that you've never been around men and you've only heard stories. It could be you've only been around men and you've been abused by every single one of them. It could be you've been around good men, but what happened to you kind of changed your whole perspective on the nature of men because it was so gruesome and atrocious that it outweighed everything you've ever experienced through men that haven't done it. It could be, but that's what I'm saying. Like I'm not making a distinction when it comes to that because there's really no need to make a distinction. At the end of the day, right? Feminism did not appear like out of the ether. It happened over time. Now, mind you, keeping in tune with the times, you understand women have came a long way in a short amount of time. We were not able to have our own money. Matter of fact, the only thing a woman could have, right, prior to 1900, at some point, were slaves. And that was only white women, by the way. That's the only thing women have been able to have in this country was slaves. And you know why men specifically, not women, men preferred it that way? Because a woman having the ability to have slaves equaled more buying power for the man who also had slaves. Now, her having slaves and him owning none means she's not even supposed to be with him. He's not up to her level. He will steal from her. Not the slaves, but the money that come from the slaves. So slaves just was a currency, and men felt like if I want my daughter to be well off, I need to make sure she got her own money. So again, when in American history has men felt like women shouldn't have their own money? Anytime you allow white women the only currency, which is slaves, which is what we call black gold at this point. Like,
right.
What year was that not in existence? So no, I don't want to hear nothing from Anton or anybody else about this feminist stuff. Talk about what's actually happening in families and work from there. If we have an issue with communication in our households, let's start by helping each other get through that. One person at a time. I did that just yesterday. Just last night, somebody called me having trouble with their wife. And I had to tell them, listen, every wife is not supposed to be your business partner. Every woman is not going to be the dream woman that's going to basically make you a millionaire and take care of your kids and be your down bitch and be your porn star. No, that's not reality. So do not expect that, because you will never find that, and you will end up alone in a men's hospital somewhere. Like, don't do that. I know you want to better. I get it. But at the end of the day, you're reaching for the stars. Stop. Okay? One person at a time. And you know what? My impact on that one person impacts everybody else that one person interacts with. You see what I'm saying? I'm not worried about changing the nature of men. Every man I come in contact with, I try to be what I want them to treat me as and see other women as. And I remind them to do the same. I can't change everybody. You know, the mistakes of the men in my family, I pass on to my children. I pass on to people that I know. That's all that we can do. All this stuff about complaining, nobody responds to complaints. We respond to solutions, not complaints. Give a solution, and if your solution has some little kinks in it, that's fine. We'll work that out. But don't sit here and insult people and say if women were in charge of anything, nothing would get done. Meanwhile, I know some serious get her done type of people, and most of them is women. Don't do that. Don't insult our intelligence and then say we're supposed to be subordinates to your mission. Don't do that.
Wait, you think I didn't think of that? Of course I thought of that.
I mean that shit. Like, I mean that shit. Okay? Like, don't insult me and then tell me I need to follow you. Like, don't do that.
I ain't mad at you about that part. I want to hear Anton's rebuttal, but I want to get to briefly before I push play on that real quick, because I just want to hear what Anton got to say real quick, and then boom, boom, boom. Yeah. So hold on. She say, hold on, where's that comment at? Yeah, when I asked her earlier, she say women learn from men who educate on how to get the bag. Network marketing. Look at what Stormy Wellington became. I don't know her. Okay, maybe Lola does. A monster to other women getting to the bag. Oh, okay, I got you. I'm going to look sis up. I'm going to see who Shorty is. I don't know who that is though. Okay, so basically she done learned from a man and then she just tried to like surpass him. I got you on that. All right, fam. Let's go ahead and get back to this real quick. Let's see what we got on Anton's response. Make sure y'all go over there and subscribe to him too. All right. Make sure you go over there and subscribe. He always has some pretty damn good dope content. Definitely an OG in the space. Show the brother some love, whether you like him or not. Respect to the family. Let's go.
Thinking that marriage is a tool of oppression, to thinking that their children are a burden, and that they are better off submitting to their boss than they are to their husband.
So let's go ahead and get back. There we go. She probably had to get back to work, so don't worry about that. Let's go ahead and put the video back up. Let's see what we got. Let's listen to Anton's spot.
Right, 99% overlap. Again, if you're talking about why immigration has gotten out of control, and certainly since I'd say the 1980s, I'd say to attribute that directly to feminism, I think is more of a stretch. Because
So
there
you
are specific, hold on, Anton. There's specific policy issues that are at play there. And as I said, you know you're going to have a problem you're going to have a problem when both parties have an incentive to do something. And one party has an incentive to invite more people in because they think they're going to get votes. And another party has an incentive to invite people in because they think they're going to get cheaper labor. And when you have that type of bipartisan issue and bipartisan consensus, people will talk a good game on the surface, but you're going to have a problem that becomes entrenched. So I see that as, I see the failures of our leaders. And I think me, you, and Zeke all have kids. We're both dad. All of us are dads. And I've used this analogy before, Jason, on the show. You know, my wife and I, we adopted her maternal cousin. When we told our kids that they're gonna get a new sister, they were happy. They were, oh yeah, we want a new sister. This is cool. This is great. If we told our kids, if we went back to our kids the next week and they said, okay, from here on out, from this week, for the next 3 years, every week we're going to adopt a new child. So after a couple of years, you're gonna have 1,500 new siblings. Eventually, they're gonna say, you know what? I don't know that we have enough resources to go around, and they are going to resent they're going to resent the new children, where they should really point their resentment at us, and particularly at me as their father, for mismanaging my household. And that's the point that I'm making about political leadership, right?
But
I understand.
Here's the thing though. What about throwing into that powder keg the fact that you're incentivized to be a single mother because you can then latch on to the government as your father, and that's one of the reasons why we continue to see children having children out of wedlock, right? If you're not, because you'll say, for example, well, one party is incentivized to have more of these people over here, and so they can increase their voter base. And then on the other side, the other party is incentivized to go over here in order for us to have cheaper labor. Well, but one of the ways in which they're creating an environment where people are attached to the Democrat plantation for the rest of their life is the fact that all of us, most of us that grew up as Black people, were told that we vote Democrat regardless of whether or not we lived conservative lives. We could be raised in church, we could be told a certain thing, so on and so forth, but we were told that the Democrats were for the poor and Republicans are for the rich, when in reality, Republicans are for smaller government and to remove the barrier entries for you to be able to do it yourself, and Democrats are for basically tying you to the government in order to incentivize you to do something based off of how they control the narrative, right? And so we weren't taught that as children.
Oh shoot, my bad. I was on mute. What do you mean by that, Doc? We don't have to act like men to get things done as women. I mean, I get you on that, but do you mean in the sense of like, because people associate these things different. You mean like the degrees and stuff? Are you talking about being in a family? I don't know. Like, in what way are you saying it? What happened to us, folks being Republicans? What happened to? Oh, you mean U.S.? I got you. What happened to U.S. folks being Republicans? I don't know. I really don't know. Again, I'm more independent with it, and I've just been waiting for us to go ahead and get somebody who actually, hold on, what you say? Oh, okay, got you. Okay, you was saying us black folks. Okay, my bad, beloved, my bad. I apologize. Okay, so yeah. All right, so I don't know. I heard that's how we started out, right? Like, you know, it's a lot of, remember when like Charleston White and other people was having like the Confederate flag and all of that, you know, because you got some black folks that be like putting up that Confederate flag. You know what's crazy? I remember when I was in the halfway house. It's an actual true story. I remember I was at the halfway house, and then I got out of there, and a few of us went, and we actually got like a nice little part-time job. Like, I'm talking about from like leaving there, like back out in the world now, all that shit done. And one of the dudes that I was there with, I wound up getting a job with him. And I didn't know the whole time he was one of the brothers. He's from the South. Matter of fact, he's from West Virginia. And he was heavy into like that whole Confederate flag movement, all of that. So I don't know. And from what I hear, that is back during a time when like a lot of blacks were voting Republican. From what I know, that's the little bit I know. I ain't gonna talk too much. I ain't gonna have me up here saying something dumb. Act like man, equal attitude, mindset. Very aggressive with the go get it and by any means type ish. Now, all right, I get you on that, Doc. But like, honestly, beloved, don't we have like, do we or do we not have to have that in us? Like that go get it. Like, if I don't do it, nobody else will. You know? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? You know, I just got to tease the brain real quick. So let's go ahead and see what we got on his response on this one right here. Let's rock it.
But one of the ways in which we continue to stay in this cycle of poverty and this cycle that continues to keep us on the Democrat plantation, which then forces people to vote a certain way, even though it's not in their best interest. You could talk to people all day long, and I can ask black people, hey, do you support illegal immigration into the country? No. Do you support men playing in women's sport? No. Do you support? Then why are you voting Democrat? And they say because we're supposed to, and because Democrats are for the poor, and we don't want the billionaire class to get all of the tax breaks, which is completely false. But how do they keep you in that narrative? How do they keep you thinking this way? They keep you that way because they don't incentivize strong families. They take care of you when you decide to have children out of wedlock. And if you tell them, hey, I don't know where my baby daddy is, you'll get an increase in food stamps, and you can then pass on Section 8 to the next generation.
Anton going in. Anton is definitely going in. So all we're going to do is we're just going to take us a very brief commercial break. Only going to be for a few seconds. We'll be right back just to make sure we keep up with the sponsors. Respect.
These messages, we'll be right back.
I gotta keep going. I gotta keep going. I gotta keep going. I gotta keep going.
Which basically keeps us in this cycle of poverty. So if you're telling me that feminism itself, which advocates for some of the very things that we are against as conservatives, and I don't know if you consider yourself adamantly a conservative or whatever, but if feminism itself is not in the very face, falling in the very face of the thing that we advocate against in order to keep our families together, but they're incentivizing you to keep the federal government as
Shoot, I'm on mute. My bad. I'm on mute. Shout out to my man Coffee in the building. What's going on? So, I'm sorry, I'm not Democrat or Republican, and I still don't agree with illegal immigration. Really? Why? Tell me more about that. Really? Okay, now. What? He's moving the goalposts. How's he moving the goalposts? Sounds like he's staying right on point to me, sir. These are the same old talking point. Okay, all right. You might have a point there. All right. Let's see what we got right here. What? I don't know, Lolo. Put it in my back chat. And then I'll go ahead and look up the information or send it to me.
your daddy, which then feeds into all of the other issues that they package. It's like a bad investment, a bad ETF that they put all together and they say, hey, you got to vote for this based off of this, even though the majority of it is
the Reagan crime bill. What? No, what I'm saying is I don't agree with. I know I get you on what you're saying. You don't agree with illegal immigration. In which way? Like you don't agree them being here, or you don't agree with them being deported? You know what I'm saying? Being deported. Like in which direction is what I'm asking. Okay, I will. Lolo, why Reagan said no divorce was necessary. There you go.
It's not in your interest. How can you say that it's not at the foundation, that the very thing that keeps us in this cycle of poverty, when our mindset and our cultural norms and the things that we celebrate the most is directly tied to the way that we vote, which then gives all of these people the battery in their back to advocate for something just because they don't like Donald Trump. They're going to go out there and protest and say, I'm rocking with them because I don't like him. Most of the people that voted against Trump, that voted for the Democrat Party, they voted against Trump, not for their best interest for what it is that they were marketing to them. It's directly, indirectly, and directly tied to feminism, which breaks our families down and keeps people in this circle of poverty, that then they get on TikTok and they market to the rest of the nation that this is what makes sense to us as Black people, or this is what makes sense to poor people.
Look, again, I don't know enough. All right. It sounds like he knows what he's talking about to me. I can't say nothing. All right. Y'all hold on 1 second. I'm going to take this call and push play. I'm going to get back to the comments 1 second.
I'm gonna hop in here because we got to land the plane. But this is fantastic. It's been fantastic. I'm gonna make a final point. And just because Delano Anton has talked.
Okay, my bad. Let me see what we got. What Anton talking about? Incentivizing broken families, but nothing about the white male politicians that ensure it happen. Whoa, you throwing some shots now. All right, now what we got right here. I don't agree with illegal immigration either. They should be here without them papers because we can't go to their country. Hold on, what? Oh, they shouldn't. I'm sorry. They shouldn't be here without them papers. Yeah. Okay. Definitely, I'm with you on that one, Doc. No bull, beloved. I just don't like the whole, like, you can do what you want here, but like your folks are like, take us in the woods, literally, we could wind up missing doing the wrong stuff over there where y'all from. Like, I don't like that. Now I get what you want to. Well, this is a narrative that he is pushing, and I'm serious. Okay, all right, I hear you. I hear you. Anton is pulling a Tommy Soda. Man, how you figure that though? How you figure that though? How you get to that? Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I know what you're saying, facts. So yeah, bro, we can't go over there and do anything, bro. Like literally, like, and it'll be very slow and brutal. Like they'll film it and everything, and make a smooth example out of folks, and we all know that happens. Let's get back to it.
Talk more than you, and me and Anton together have definitely talked more than you. I will give you a little final say, but I do want to say this, and this is what I believe, and this is why I'm polarizing, and this is why a lot of people. If we removed women from political office, trust me, we'd have a border wall.
Timepiece Frosty, that's why you only get one chance to cross me. I don't want nobody fucking with me in these streets. Same children.
And we wouldn't be having any of these conversations about all these illegal immigrants coming into this country. There'd be a handful of men that would be, yeah, no, we should open the border. But a group of men with no women involved, we'd have a border wall and we wouldn't be having any of this madness. Men know.
God have mercy upon us.
Hey, look, man, just anybody just can't come up in here, and men know that now that we're sharing power with women and they're all up in high, and they all get to vote and they got high political office, we want to make sure we take the right positions so that these women respect us, and primarily they've sexually leveraged us. This is why this is all tied to sexual compromise and sexual leverage. Women are using their vaginas to control us. I think these things are indisputable. And so virtually everything, and I'll go, Delano, this is where I do want you to respond just from a biblical point of view. When I hear Anton's argument, think about my own argument, I just go to Genesis and say, well, hold on, man. They told me that Eve did something in the garden and Adam wasn't around. Then he came around, and then God was like, hey, man, what's going on here, Adam? How did you let this woman take you down this path? And so the Bible, to me, my understanding of it is like women's nature to disobey God and to get into mischief, and men being a simp and letting that woman drag them places they shouldn't be. That is the genesis of all problems. That's why I tend to side with Anton here, is just like us simping for women and women using their vagina as leverage over.
What is simping? Because it did have an original term. From what I know now, it's gone so far as if you smile at a woman you don't know and say, good morning to you, oh, you simping. I don't understand. I thought we were supposed to be like, be polite. I got a mother and aunts. I don't want nobody disrespecting them. So I'm trying to figure out, how did do unto others as you want done to you in your own turning to simping? Now, of course, I know the original, like when you just giving a broad money, things of that nature. You just lusting over her and she has no infatuation with you whatsoever, so on and so forth. Right, we know this. But it's gone levels beyond that. So I don't even know what it is now at this point. You see what I'm saying? Let's go ahead. Hey, what's going on, Riaz? How you feel?
No, I'm good, man.
Cool. So let's go ahead and see what we got right here on this video. Hold your thoughts, Riaz, okay? Hold your thoughts. And then towards the end, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna let you get up in there real quick because I want to make sure I get through the video.
Okay.
And that's exactly what I tried to speak on. Listen, okay. Yeah, do unto others right. Exactly. Like if I see a random woman and if I'm able to help or do something, I am, because that's what's going through my head is, honestly, man, what if that was my mom? I got a baby sister. Like, I don't care what age range it is. From well, if you too young of a kid, I'm not touching you. I'm gonna just call 911. I'm not going near you because I don't need no confusion. But like, you know, like from teenage, so on. I have cousins in that age range. My daughter's in that age range. I have aunts and everything else all throughout the spectrums of wherever a woman's, you know, wherever a woman can be in the age range. So when I see that, all I see is my own. So I do have the instinctive, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, bruh, like, what if that's my cousin? All right, real shit though. And people have completely lost the whole, like, what if that was me? What if that was mine? Like, that is out of the window. That is out of the window to get somebody to even try to think that that could be a thought. Let me see right here. Because people are slow, you know what I'm saying? With labeling everything, i.e. Manny Simp, right? Exactly, hyena, etc. Stupidity. You got it, love. You already know.
For us, has created a massive nightmare that we can't even tell people, like, nah, man, we got a border. There's a legal process to getting into this country. You ain't following it. I just feel like we remove women from the whole deal. Everybody understands that. If we remove women from the whole deal, we wouldn't have Nancy Pelosi and Maxine Waters running around and pretending like George Floyd has just cleaned himself up and he was going to discover the cure for cancer. Didn't someone just this week, was it some woman or maybe it was some man, didn't someone just say, Donald?
All right, what do you want to say, Riaz? Now, Riaz, you know how these things go on certain topics. Be careful what you say, Riaz, okay? All right?
Okay.
Because I can't save you. All right, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I get you on that. I kind of think all I'm gonna say is, to be honest though, like, you know, based off what, you know, the kind of was saying, like, what, you know, how you treat a person, stuff. All I'm gonna say is what you put out is what you get back. That's all I'm gonna say on that. I'm just like, wow, man, the way he's thinking, wow, just don't understand. I'm just gonna leave it there. I don't have too much to add on this one, though. I'm just gonna listen more and see where I can, you know, add some stuff to it, though. But I don't know what to add, to be honest, right now.
Y'all gotta let me know. If I take too long, I might be on mute. My bad about that. I'm sorry about that. Nah, thank you, Riaz. I appreciate you. Okay, thank you for that. All right. How's your day going so far, real quick? You been all right?
Yeah, day's going good, alhamdulillah. I thought today was pretty good. Thought today was also an interesting day also. So I had a taster day for like this community thing that I was doing. Like there's this community program now in a different town that I go to where it's now outside of the cards. I go do a taster day and they teach younger people about the life skill and all the necessary things that they need to do and everything like that. And did a taster day for that. And today, you know, today was about in CV, and basically they were, doing the exercise and stuff like that. So I worked out hard basically, and the CV and stuff like that. You know what stuff to add on the CV and stuff like that. That's what they were teaching me and stuff like that. So
okay, all right. So we're gonna get back to the video. I just wanted to make sure. Yeah. All right, so thank you. I appreciate you for sharing with that today. Thank you.
Donald Trump is deporting people. Maybe it was Michael Moore, who might as well be a woman. Donald Trump is deporting people that may cure cancer. But
those who answer the call.
gang members are gonna cure. You know, get them up out of here. And if we get a few people that, who's the guy over in El Salvador that we made this big deal about? I don't even care if we were wrong for shipping him home. There's gonna be some collateral damage in any cleanup process. I'm sorry, Delano, I'm gonna take 2-3 minutes, give your final thought. Shamika, I'm gonna give you a final thought too, because you've been waiting patiently, but just let's land the plane here, Delano, but I do wanna give you a final thought.
No.
You serious?
Oh man.
No, I think again, I broadly agree with both of y'all in terms of the corrosive nature of feminism. But
Hold on,
again,
what you talking about over here, Doc? What you got? Hold on, let me see. We don't have to use stupidity to disagree with someone or to recognize they're not our cup of tea. And you know what? I like that. AKA, you don't have to throw insults. Plus, we all know once you start throwing names and stuff, and you start going to your height, your money, you look like this, we all know you're losing. You lost. Once you veer off from the topic, you know what I'm saying? Dr. Quantum just put it in a very elegant and feminist way. Since that's the topic, apparently, and y'all can't be nothing else but that according to this. So, man, shout out to the fan. You already know. What you say? People too childish. Hey, look, that's why I call them man babies. Call them man babies. They're like the largest form of infants that was able to grow pubes and facial hair and get driver's license. Man baby.
Okay.
If we're talking about immigration specifically, I'm not talking about the whole.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead, Riaz. What you want to say real quick?
I was just gonna say that basically in general, the way he's speaking, and there's no replay. Anything I say is just in general. You know, disclaimer is done. Okay, now basically, these guys, the way they come across in general, though, seems like projection to me, because it feels like to me they feel insecure about something, though. You know, just the way they speak, just that, though. In general, though, the way these guys are talking, okay, look, they say what they gotta say. That's one thing. But the way they were talking when they mentioned about the female thing, no, not just feels to me they're projecting their own insecurities onto someone else. That's just how it comes across to me. You know, when they mention the female thing, I get it about the other stuff. That's one thing. But when they have to bring up the female stuff, though, nah, man, I feel like you project it.
Thank you very much, Riaz. I definitely appreciate you on that. But yeah, it is. That's very much so it is. It's the immaturity and the childishness. Not to mention, it's not even about really trying to see so we should be on both sides of the aisle, like I said before. Let's try to figure out exactly, let's try to get ourselves on track of what is best. But when everybody's so focused on trying to outdo one another, then that's what can, kind of derail it a little bit. But I do get it at the same time. Look, is that not what men are going to do? We're always going to bring our side of things. We're always going to have our ideas to hear, to have heard and everything else. So, I mean, I do recognize the display of verbal fencing, if you want to say. I do recognize it. Let's go ahead and go.
Smorgasbord of political issues. We're talking about immigration specifically. One of the things, Jason, that if you talk to a lot of conservatives, the only times that they will criticize Ronald Reagan for two things. One he did while he was governor of California. One he did while he was president. When he was governor, he signed the first no-fault divorce bill, right? Which sort of was one of the first dominoes to drop as it relates to redefining marriage. So no longer sort of a lifelong union and covenant, unless you had, good reason, abuse or adultery or something to that effect, right? So he signed no-fault divorce. That was in 1969. And then he signed an immigration amnesty bill in the mid-'80s. And a lot of people will say this is where this problem started, because it sent the message to people that if you come to this country illegally and you stay around long enough and you work and as Anton was saying, right, if you make people think that you're paying taxes, eventually we are going to grant you citizenship. And that's one of the things that you hear in this debate as well, right? So they'll say, okay, yeah, we got to seal the border, but then how are we going to deal with the people who are here already? So I think, again, I'm not downplaying the role of feminism in some of the in many of the issues that we deal with as a culture and in our politics. And as I said, if you're talking about the role, if you're talking about the family, anything having to do with sort of the home, the family unit, I think the case is a lot stronger there. But it's interesting to me that Hispanic men swung for Trump. I think it was probably a 10, 12 point swing between 2020 and 2024. Hispanic men, I think it was about over half of Hispanic men in this country.
Was it? I'm gonna have to look those numbers up, y'all. I'm gonna have to look the numbers up. I just want to see what's going on. All right.
Well,
You want to say something, Riaz? Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, okay, look, some of the other points when he was mentioned, okay, I get it. He had a point there though, and he was saying that, but he kind of lost me when he mentioned about the feminism thing. I ain't not for feminism. I ain't against it though, that type of thing. No, but I'm not gonna be real. The man just lost me though, and when he mentioned feminism, it's the cause of all of that. Nah, man, it's not always the case though, man. Literally, again. Literally just lost me.
Yes, you did. You did say that earlier. I do remember when you was talking about Reagan. I got you. So basically, what did I say? No fault divorce is the main incentive to broken families. Nothing else is significance. Oh, nothing else is of significance. Who's right? Kwafi, who right? You said it plays a role, doctor. Okay. So, Lolo, if the main thing is the divorce being the incentive, what primarily does that do overall? Because I mean, if we're saying that people don't even want to get married nowadays, then I guess shouldn't that be obsolete if people aren't even getting married to get divorced in the first place? You know what I'm saying? But I got you though. I do get what you're saying. You know what I mean? Let's see what we got.
Who voted in the 2024 election? These are obviously citizens who voted for Donald Trump. So it's not even to say that the less rhetoric is particularly effective in that community. I think it's much more effective in our community for a number of reasons, some of them historical and some of them, again, having to do with this issue of particularly the intersectional feminism, right? It ain't, because for us it's not.
Want to get more for less with
that have caused the problems is Audre Lorde and Angela Davis and Alice Walker, and Bell Hooks, who have caused many of the problems that we see in the Black community. So, I mean, maybe we get to the point where women say, you know what, I'm no longer interested in politics, and we can see what the men do. But when I look on both the left and increasingly on the right, I see a lot of guys who don't show me that they have the spine to do what needs to be done. And maybe part of that is because they are trying to placate.
Women have removed their spines. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, women have removed their spine. We're having two different discussions because we're talking past the.
Hold on. What does that mean? Women have removed their spine. What does that even mean? Sheesh, man, what just happened, yo? Ah, boy. He said, Lolo, I'm just saying, he said women remove their spine. I'm trying to figure out in what context does he mean that? Like, they stop being our backbone? Because I know about that, women being, you see what I'm saying? Or was he saying like now women are like spineless themselves? is what I'm trying to figure out. Like, in which direction does he mean that women have removed their spines, or no, women lost their spines, something like that. What we got? Know that no fault divorce has ate up the marriage conversation. Oh, I got you. Okay, I see what you're saying. Right. Nobody wants it, but the problem is still no fault divorce. Got you. I see. So it's like, I got you. Yeah. Nah, you got a point right there. You should be allowed to break a legal agreement for literally no reason. I don't know about no reason, Lolo. I don't know about no reason, but I would say it should come. Fix your face. Fix your face. Fix your face. What? He needs to shut up talking about spines. I don't know why though. I don't know what that means. No, I'm just saying though, what does that mean exactly? Like, how does that even like do? I don't know what that is. You know what I'm saying? But let me see what we got. They feel in politics and within the home, which I do think that has happened, but I want to know why. I want to know why too, Clark. No bull. Yeah, see, I'm here learning, you know what I'm saying? I'm just listening to what these intelligent brothers are talking about. And I'm just listening to what my intelligent chat and everybody here is saying as well. And I'm learning from everybody involved with this little something going on right now.
Okay, we can get back to the video. I'll see what else I can add in. Other than that, though, I might as well just drop afterwards, though, and just come back later, I guess. You know what I mean? You know?
Okay. All right. That's that's cool, Riaz. I always appreciate you coming through. I always appreciate you sharing out the content. Now, thank you for that. Like, seriously, thank you for
You're
that.
welcome. I just want to stay for a little longer. Let's see what the video has to say, because I'd like to listen a little more.
Yeah, no problem. You can hang out if you like. That's cool. No fault doesn't require reason. Listen, Lolo, I know that. And I'm saying I don't like that. I don't. But look, anyway, we'll probably do like a part 2 or something. My bad.
Conservative liberal. I'm talking, I think Anton's talking, men and women, patriarchy versus matriarchy. What's the real root cause? I don't think it's left, right. I think it's man, woman. I think it's patriarchy, matriarchy. Shamika, I'm going to let you land the plane here. You get a final thought. Thank you for waiting patiently. Anton, thank you. Great job as always. But Shamika, I'm going to cater and bow to Shamika. Just so I want to make sure Shamika likes me when this show's over. I'm going to be a simp. And so, Shamika, please.
It's what I'm saying. Like, Brad, I know he joking, but like, even in that sense, like, just, being respectful, being, that was just normal respect. That's just normal. I think, don't raise your voice at a woman too much, especially ain't nothing going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, things of that nature. Definitely just kind of watch how you know what I'm saying, how you talk, how you react and respond. That's it. Simple, real simple. Just be chill and polite. I don't know why we didn't turn this into something so awkward. Boy. But nah, real talk though. It is something. I don't know. Let me see. Does she say anything?
And land the plane. Thank you.
Does she say anything?
I just want to know if any of you need anything from the kitchen. That's all I know.
There you go.
I like Miracle Whip on my sandwich. Thank you. I hope everybody enjoyed this. I certainly did.
Yeah, I ain't with. Oh man, I'm more of a honey mustard guy. But anyway, real talk though. I mean, like, what's really y'all thoughts on that? Like, I mean, is feminism really the reason why, like, you know what I'm saying, America's going to hell? Because, I could have sworn it was all kind of other stuff going on. I didn't know it was something called feminism that was like the silent killer of like all America. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just trying to figure this out, figure it out, dog. What? You said it just tickles their fancy. Oh man. Nah, I got you. You good. Fix you a sandwich. I'm just saying, bro, like, what is that really what it is though? I'm so serious. Now, let me see. If it's not, before we get up out of here, what would you say is if there was to be a number one reason in your book and it's not feminism, what is that number one reason to you? Now, me, I would say misdirected resources. That's something that comes to my mind. Like resources, like we be having the bread for stuff, but it just be going everywhere. It ain't got no damn business going. And, resources aren't used the right way. So I would say misdirected resources, just on a basic level. You know what I'm saying? What? You said, oh, it's definitely feminism? Well, it's a bunch of things, and feminism plays its role like the other stuff. There is no number one reason. I got you. What? What you mean? All right, so I don't understand. Kwafi, you are confusing me, bro. You disagree with him, but you say it again. What you got? They are spinking. Yeah. I mean, see, that's another thing too. I mean, even down to like how we supposed to just go ahead and have dialogue nowadays, as far as what is the upgraded version of whatever's taking place. The dating scene, how to go for a job. You know something? I can't tell my daughter, hey, look, so this is what you're gonna do. You're going to go up to these places and you're going to go in there and just go inside, ask them for a paper application. See, I remember doing that with my dad. I remember riding around with my father. All right. And he would stop at places and I'll run inside, ask them for an application. They give me one and I just take all these applications home and I fill them out. Now you got to do it on a computer. Everything has changed. So however we're going to approach life, like we got to learn how to now approach life from a more like I wouldn't even say modern, but that is the word, but like really just like up to code, like up to date. Like what is going on now? Let's be for real. I can't even front. I'm glad that we not just in the day of flip phones no more. So it's little things that actually are of a tremendous benefit, Like, so I see where it comes in handy. I definitely see where it comes in handy, where it comes into play. Let me see what we got. Hold on real quick though. There we go. Well, some people do have paper applications, but not everyone. Bro, you know what I'm saying, dog. Majority of jobs, they're going to tell you go online. And even then, you can't talk to no manager right then and there. But they're not even talking to you now unless they done looked at you as a qualifying candidate. We from the days where you can get you like an on-site interview right then and there. Like they bring you right around that counter. I remember them days. Bring you right around the counter. Take you right on in the back to the office. We will never end feminism. Let's move forward with learning how to communicate in our community and families. Well, how are we supposed to do that if everybody's saying that feminism is the problem, Lolo? If feminism is the reason why these dads is not in the house, if feminism is the reason why all of these issues are going on, then I don't know how we going to do anything. Okay. I think we definitely need to put the egg before the chicken on that one. All right. If that is the case, you see where I'm at. I mean, because that's what they say is happening now. So I guess that would make more sense, right? We got to think logical. You know, men think logical, Lolo. Let's get it. What we got? Oh, yeah. I read that. What you say? Like you said, like I said before, it is feminism, but not to the degree of what the media is putting it to be. Then, all right, if it's not to the degree of what the media is putting it to be, then why is the majority of real life dating circumstances and relationships suffering? Bam. Riddle me that, Batman. Riddle me that. Like, really though. I do agree with you, but like, I'm just curious. Then why in real life everybody across the board, no matter what the age range, can honestly say the dating market is some shit? Like, I mean, pure garbage. Why is that? Why? Because of white women? Black women? So who's it on? Is it on white women or black women? Black women in general. Okay, so hold on. So in general, it's black women's fault. But it's also white women's fault. Okay, all right. I mean, you know, those are his thoughts. White women are at the plagues of feminism. Okay. All right. You don't think Asian women got like a nice little hand and stuff too? Because I'm just saying, like, from what I know, it's supposed to be everybody else is able to get their stuff taken care of except us. That's all I'm hearing. All I'm hearing is everybody else is being heard except us. And last time I checked, Asians got reparations and got their little stuff taken care of before ours did, right? So, I mean, how is that? What you talking about? You think so? You think so? You said they know not to mess with it. Even Mexican women, for real? Okay, all right. So so they know not to step into this. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. I'm gonna give you that. I'm gonna give you that for this one. You know what I'm saying? Let me see what this is right here. Oh yeah, definitely 309. Anybody who knows me in real life knows that it is that time for me to do what it's that time for me to go do. Yep, it's that time. So everybody, I definitely appreciate y'all for stopping by. We got a good 2 hours, and that was longer than what I thought. I appreciate everybody for coming through. Like, definitely. Let's go ahead and just like smooth jam it out. I appreciate everybody. I definitely.
My mic is muted. I digress. My mic is muted.
Now if you and your legend shoot this up to 10, the airways belong to Disciple and the war chief Lynn. First digest the heat from my toaster. Blast, cotton can last on your block about the class.
Yeah, digging on the Sheba, tapping on the Chiba, singing they want sunset, gotten you one nuts and the ass whipping, and feel it wouldn't kick in. Never juggle satin, coolie coda can't blow. Coolie how is how I pump when the convincers in my clutch. Your murder one sung it then hush.
The
Hollywood.
awakening, how much notes are we raking in? The more we vision, you ain't fit for this division. So put the splits on it. Tell your Foxy put her lips on it. It's murder one when the stone's
I'm
on
trying to
it.
tell you now, the copper here from the 3 o'clock and a something terrible that happen when you're full shatting. No counterfeit, never dug the sound of it low. Cold toss the out, razor candy cut what? Low sugar streets where the hustle crossing cats meet. My kin looking like Flynn about to boogie.
Inside Sheba Sugar Walls trying to landscape pleasure. I face the north in the north face bubble feather. Stone tribe jungle life diamond crook campus. Destined for Sugar City and we copping Willie
I got
Stampers.
you wide. I keep you wide. I got you wide. I keep you wide. Once the heaters on, you know that mean the war chief sin. Melting ice grills from the Ace Boone and Mac 10. El Dorado R and a sparkling Chevrolet. All the do sacks until I see news.
It ain't no such thing as 3 o'clock. I cruise the block in my snorkel. A tiny link swing, 6 figures. I'm trying to see it, so I'm coasting. Sipping on some clear patch of potion, got me tipsy. Waiting for some sugar rain to hit me. This is living. Screeching through the cracks of Hell's Kitchen, talking dynamite slang in my wheels while I'm brick
Check the
pitching.
crunk pressure, Cheryl sugar love out of sight. Double modern block bus, EG gray airtight in the war chief. Pulling the old brown sugar gone through the doorway and sugar hit the stairway and down.
I can dig it. Can you dig it? Diamonds glow. Ichi stay fresh in the flesh, dice fro. We Thundercats, it's all about stash in the coffee. Butter dripping off me. I talk it like I walk it on uptown grounds. Jungle champ compounds where the law's always found and war chief run the town.
The last cards was dealt, so it's the last hander. Scat cats from the sugar flats, low bander. Running reps, pulling coats to the counterfeited. Jai catch you on the rebound, sweet and low digging.